Hello friends, today I'm going to explain a movie named The Day After Tomorrow. This movie shows us, in the future, the storms are coming and no one is safe in a storm of deep freeze. The film opens at the annual United Nations Global Warming Conference in New Delhi, India, where paleoclimatologist Jack Hall delivers a speech. He warns the delegates that the Earth is on the brink of a polar catastrophe that will encase everything in ice. When questioned about the time frame, Jack estimates it could take centuries, but if fossil fuel consumption isn't reduced, their grandchildren will bear the consequences. After the conference, Jack meets Terry Rapson, a representative from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. As they discuss their findings, heavy snowfall begins, signaling that climate change is already accelerating. Over the following weeks, extreme weather phenomena strike different parts of the world. In Japan, massive hailstones, unprecedented in history, fall from the sky, killing many. Meanwhile, at Terry's monitoring station in Scotland, computers detect abrupt and severe temperature drops in the ocean, so intense that communication equipment freezes instantly. At the International Space Station, astronauts observe enormous storms forming in the Earth's troposphere. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Jack drops off his son, Sam, at the airport. Sam, a brilliant student, is headed to New York for an academic decathlon. Despite Jack's prominence, Sam harbors resentment toward his father, who has always been consumed by work. Jack reassures him that once he retires, he will devote more time to his family. Upon arriving in New York, Sam and his friends, Laura and Brian, notice flocks of birds frantically flying west, as if escaping an unseen threat. Back at his monitoring station, Terry contacts Jack with alarming news. The polar catastrophe is approaching much faster than expected. When Jack asks how severe it is, Terry responds that nothing like this has occurred in the last 10,000 years. Meanwhile, in California, a weather technician is enjoying time with his girlfriend when he receives a distress call: hailstones are falling in Los Angeles. Turning on the news, he is stunned to see golf ball-sized hail ravaging the city. He urgently calls his boss to issue a tornado warning, but it's already too late. In minutes, multiple tornadoes descend upon Los Angeles, obliterating everything in their path. An emergency meeting is held at the Office of Global Change in Washington, D.C. Attendees discuss the chaotic weather events worldwide, concluding that something has gone terribly wrong. Jack, present at the meeting, explains that everything is occurring due to the disruption of North Atlantic currents, caused by rapidly melting polar ice, an outcome of global warming. He warns that this is just the beginning, and conditions will soon worsen. Jack then meets with the vice president, urging immediate mass evacuations in the northern states. However, the VP dismisses his concerns and refuses to act. Across the Atlantic, snowfall intensifies in the UK. 3 helicopters are dispatched to retrieve the Queen, but as they pass through the storm's eye, their instruments freeze. Soon, their rotors fail, sending all 3 choppers crashing to the ground. One pilot survives the impact but freezes to death upon exiting the wreckage. In Manhattan, Sam and his friends attempt to leave for DC, but transportation services have shut down due to relentless rain. As they search for a way out, a massive tsunami surges through the city, submerging skyscrapers and even engulfing the Statue of Liberty. Witnessing the destruction, Sam and his group race to the National Library for safety, while thousands of others are swept away. Terry calls Jack again, reporting that the freezing air responsible for downing the UK helicopters is heading toward the US. Jack analyzes the data and makes a chilling discovery: they have only 48 hours before the entire country freezes over. Weather projections reveal 3 colossal storm systems growing worldwide. In Europe, the deep freeze has already begun. At the library, Sam searches desperately for a working telephone and finally finds one submerged in water. Braving the cold, he makes a call to Jack, who is relieved to hear his son's voice. Jack instructs him to stay indoors and wait for the storm to pass. Venturing outside would mean instant death. The next day, as survivors in the library gather supplies, they are startled to see a cargo ship drifting through the flooded streets. Meanwhile, in Washington, the president holds a crisis meeting. Jack stresses the urgency of evacuating the southern states to Mexico. The vice president opposes the idea, citing logistical challenges, but Jack warns that those in the north are already doomed. If they step outside, they will freeze instantly. The president takes Jack's advice and orders mass evacuations. Back in New York, many survivors in the library decide to leave, believing they can reach warmer areas. Sam tries to stop them, but his warnings are ignored. Only a handful, including his friends, remain behind. Determined to save his son, Jack embarks on a treacherous journey to New York with his colleagues, Frank and Jason. The trio, experienced in Arctic expeditions, brace themselves for the brutal conditions. Inside the library, Sam and his friends scavenge for food and collect books to burn for warmth. Elsewhere, Jack's team encounters obstacles in the snow and is forced to proceed on foot. Hours into their journey, Frank steps onto a fragile glass roof and falls. Jason and Jack hold onto his lifeline, but as the glass continues cracking, Frank sacrifices himself, cutting the rope so his friends can continue. At the library, Laura suddenly falls ill. A medic in the group diagnoses her with an infected wound and insists she needs penicillin immediately. Sam, Brian, and another friend, JD, decide to search for medicine inside the abandoned cargo ship. Meanwhile, at a military base, the vice president learns that the president has died in an evacuation accident. To make matters worse, the storm's eye is shifting directly toward New York. As Jack and Jason push forward, Jason collapses from exhaustion, forcing Jack to carry him. In the city, Sam and his friends find penicillin inside the cargo ship's kitchen. However, their scent attracts a pack of starving wolves that escaped from a nearby zoo. As they evade the beasts, Sam notices the skies clearing, a sign that the storm's eye is approaching. With little time left, he distracts the wolves while Brian and JD escape. Despite JD's injuries, they make it back to the library just in time. Jack, struggling through the snow with Jason, spots an abandoned building. He shoves Jason inside moments before the freezing air sweeps through, instantly solidifying everything in its path. As the storm's eye passes, those in the library scramble to keep the fire burning, their only defense against the cold. Jack, too, desperately ignites a fire inside his shelter. The following morning, the International Space Station observes a break in the storm. Land masses are finally visible in Europe, signaling the storm's dissipation. Jack and Jason resume their journey, trudging through a frozen wasteland of sunken ships and ice-covered landmarks. Upon reaching Manhattan, they locate the library's GPS coordinates, only to find it buried under thick ice. Just as hope fades, they discover a small opening and enter. After searching, they find Sam and his group, still alive thanks to the fire. Jack and Sam share an emotional reunion. In Mexico, the new president learns that there are survivors in New York and orders a large-scale rescue mission. In the film's final moments, helicopters arrive in Manhattan, retrieving survivors who have gathered on rooftops. Jack, Sam, and the others are airlifted to safety. The movie concludes with an astronaut from the International Space Station marveling at the Earth's atmosphere, remarking that he has never seen such a clear sky. So friends, that's all for today's video. See you in the next video. Subscribe for more videos like this and turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.